Puerto Rico is the pirates' control of the wealth. The pirates are the conquistadors and the Huguenots. The Huguenots is the French version of the conquistadors, right? And they had different names for the English. Well, I think they was called merchant seamen, right? When they first came over here, they was all melanated, but the history books been whitewashed to give you the illusion that the pale face is the person who's doing the dirt when Elijah told us Yaqub left niggas in charge. The Barbary Wars, yeah, the Barbaries were Etruscans, right? This is where you get your term barbarian from.
Hairy nigga.
Yep. But they was fighting the hairy Europeans, who later became classified as Barbary out of the Barbary Wars. But they wasn't the ones that was the Barbary first. Because it's misdirection, right? It's the shell game. Everything that they did, they tried to push it off on the pale face so that the ones of us that's the earthborn that belong here won't never see their dirty black hands at play, right? So as long as we don't see who it is, we can't properly mount a defense. Once you know who it is and you know that it was about who can educate themselves high enough to see the deception, then you understand how they was playing the game. They was using murder that was a violation of the ceasefire agreement. But we was allowed to use self-defense. And that's why most cities, they used to have a self-defense law, but they took it off the books.
Mm-hmm.
You can't defend yourself. Let that nigga kill you now.
Damn. Hey, Rod, I got a serious question for you, man, because I just thought about it. Now, because this ties in with Doc and Angel Bay, or in their case, when I'm looking into their case. I see that they try to tie them in with a foreign government. They try to tie Doc in with a foreign government, and they try to use this as a terrorist tactic. They did the same thing with Jeff, where they tried to tie him in with, like it was Libya, so that he was getting money from them. So what is the with the RICO and things? What is the connection with trying to tie you into a foreign government so they can say that you're a terrorist? What is, you got anything on that?
So remember, they Farrakhan too. Gaddafi tried to give Farrakhan some money. What did they tell him? Remember what they told him?
Right. They said if you take that money, you're gonna be an enemy of the United States, and they say that or something like that. To that,
they said they didn't have no problem with him getting the money, but he had to register as a foreign agent.
Okay, go ahead.
Operating in the United States.
Go ahead.
Right? That would immediately put him at odds with the corporation because we already foreign to the corporation on our own land.
Go ahead.
If you let it be known in the public that you foreign to the corporation then can actively pursue war tactics to bring you down, as they did with Malachi.
That's right. And Jeff Ford.
Yep. Jeff Ford was set up by the CIA.
Yep. With a rocket launcher.
Yeah, they all of that was orchestrated by the United States, including the meeting facilitated with the Libyan assets. Was all orchestrated by the CIA with the intent to charge Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. They already knew what his views was because it's cassette tapes to this day in Chicago floating around of him speaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so now all they have to do is facilitate a connection that they can use as a means to prosecute and persecute the man as a criminal, even though he in state system, he in the federal governmental system.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they came in and with cold crackers,
Mm-hmm.
right? They put cold crackers on there to try to figure out how to make code out of the things he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they made, whether it was code or not, I don't believe it was code. I think they used the cold crackers to create a common theme in the conversation by things that they classified as code words so that they can paint the narrative that they was talking in code.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's using it in reverse, right, to establish something that you're trying to establish.
Mm-hmm.
So the CIA asset, all he got to do is allow Angel Bay people to make the connection with the Libyan people, and he ain't never got to be seen,
Mm-hmm. Damn.
right? So they facilitate the link up, and when the link up take place, then the FBI come in and sell them some bum rocket launchers,
That's right.
and now they can bring them all down as this terrorist cell. When all of the time Angel Bay is supposed to be on the streets lobbying the tribes in order to overthrow the system, and they knew
Right.
this.
Right. Right. Another thing too, I saw they did with Jeff is that once they got him on when he in prison when they was running this when he locked
But
up when they
yeah, the whole thing was done while he was already in federal prison.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. I know that with Larry, I know that they got him for so it's like this. How can you get around that when Jeff they say, oh, he the leader of the Police Stones or he the leader of these guys, and like the Meanham brothers wasn't banging them but more science. They had fezes and shit on, you know. And so you already know the game, you know what I'm saying? Going back with Noble Drew Ali. But my question for you is how do we retract and get justice for the racketeering itself, because they said that okay, Doc was money. Like I looked up the racketeering and saw what all covers. It's a whole bunch of shit that can cover under that. But one thing they tried to go out there and said that he was money laundering. Now I said to myself, in order to be money laundering, you got to have some making money a criminal way and then try to clean that money up, right? So, Doc had a lot of books. He was selling his books. And they tried to say that Doc was he was late on his taxes or something. Come to find out he overpaid his taxes. So I'm still trying to figure out how was they able to RICO him with they didn't even have no RICO case really. They didn't even have nothing on this guy. Like, what did they have on him besides what the crimes that people that was a part of his organization, like Damian Pryor and Lopez and Jacob York and these guys, they got shit on these guys. They didn't have nothing on Doc. They didn't like Big Meech. They didn't even see Big Meech never selling no dope. They even said it. They admitted to it. They said we ain't never seen him selling no dope. We just saw him count money. And like
Inflation.
yeah, and flashing. We ain't never seen him do no legal activity, but make money.
So look.
Go ahead.
You gotta remember, the only thing that RICO has to do is establish you had an enterprise. That's racketeering right there. If the enterprise is not under the control of the US government, it's automatically classified as a criminal activity.
Wow.
The only remedy we really have is enough of the tribes people to become aware of the fraud. And when we hit critical mass, nature takes its course and corrects everything. Right? We almost if we ain't at critical mass, we damn close, because the theater that's playing right now in the public as politics and entertainment is all mirroring what we already seen. Right? Diddy Red House mirroring Baba on the Blue House. Right? Diddy was doing Diddy stuff, and you have to have the innocent fall in order to keep the guilty afloat. If the innocent begin to be seen, then the wicked begins to fall. This balancing of the scales. So when you speak up for the one who was doing the righteous work, and then you don't say nothing at the fall of the one that was doing the dirt, it balances it out. I don't have nothing to say about nobody that fall. I got something to say about everybody that's been done wrong. Right? So when we looking at, it's so much stuff going on, like the using the cover of the storm to cause mass casualty events. Right? That's not new, but we have to see everything we've seen going in that we see coming out. But it's the mirror flip. It's the same but different. And it tells you the length of the cycle when you see it. That's why you have to be perceptive of the symbolism of the event, of the character being played, and the story that's being woven, because now you can see where you at coming out of a cycle. Right? So we had to close out the old age in order to initiate the new age. Right? We do certain stuff that's unorthodox in order to put the word in the public domain. Right? When I was making that video about the duress defense for Larry, right? That was called a catalyst event because nobody's ever brought it up in court that he was holding the position as the leader of the gangster disciples under duress the whole time. Pull up duress defense. That's what you do. Because once you understand how it works, I can't kidnap your child and say, if you don't rob that bank, I'm going to kill your child. And then when you get caught and they find out that you done it to save your child's life, they can't prosecute you for that. You did something against your will. You was forced into doing something nefarious in order to save somebody else. That's part of self-defense, the right to protect yourself and others.
Hey, I got another question for you, Rod. Because I'm writing them down as we go. Do you believe, because Johnny Cochran, he was able to get Geronimo Pratt, I think, off because they had the FBI COINTELPRO had knew that he wasn't in that city during the time of that robbery or whatever, or what it was. And so Johnny Cochran was able to get him out, I think. Now
it took 27 years.
Yeah, he did 27 years, and they found out that he was innocent. Now
they knew he look. This is why Johnny Cochran took the case pro bono for 27 years. Johnny Cochran was his defense attorney at trial. Geronimo Pratt was set up because he was coming to teach the tribes how to protect themselves using military strategies that he learned in the military.
Right.
He said his elders sent him to California to teach them. He didn't even want to go. But he went because his elders sent him, because he had a tribal skill that the other people in the tribe needed. The police committed the crime that Geronimo Pratt was accused of. They knew this because it was a joke in the sheriff's department, because they were sheriffs, they wasn't police. And it was like a locker room joke about how they set up Geronimo Pratt. And it ended up leaking out of the locker room into the lawyer circles that got back to Johnny Cochran while Geronimo Pratt was fighting this case. So now they locked Geronimo Pratt up. They didn't care about how long they kept him in there. They just wanted to prevent him from teaching and training them tribes this military stuff before they can have an opportunity to plant those seeds of dissension and make those colors clash.
With the Crip and the Blood stuff.
Yep.
Hey, another thing.
So,
Say, do you? Oh, go. Finish what you're saying.
So when you look and you read the description of Geronimo Pratt case, go back and read the description of Big Tookie case. It's gonna look like you're reading the same case. And I'm gonna let that stand where it's at.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out, man. When I'm doing the collations, because I'm doing Young Elders Law School, man. Y'all check out that playlist, Young Elders Law School, man. We breaking stuff down. This is my next. This is part that go with that same question. Do you believe the government took Johnny Cochran out because he was working with,
Yeah.
he got,
They used what's called microwave technology, a beam microwave. And every time he came out of chemo, they hit him with it again to make sure that the chemo don't work.
Right, I believe that too. With Rod Kardashian too, I believe with Kim Kardashian that he's working with that on that same case. He died a similar way as Johnny. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My next question I got for you, Rod, is on the RICO. I noticed when I started breaking down the RICO and studying it, that even if you found innocent after the fact, so like we wasn't get Baba out, and because we got all this evidence already, but when we was get Baba out, they still keep the shit, keep the proceeds in all his land. So how did that work? How does that work? How did they? I'm innocent. You robbed me, and I just got to bite that after the
Because
fact.
in their system, even if they took something from you, and you get found later on, your case get overturned, they say he was guilty, he just got it overturned on a technicality, so we still ain't gonna give him his stuff back.
Damn, these suckers is great crooks. I mean, they hide. I mean,
If we can't see the crookedness of the system, we just totally blind to it. A lot of people is so accustomed to the uniformity of it in the way that it flows that they think it's legitimate. Police wear uniforms, the firemen wear uniform, the police, the dog catcher wear a uniform, the mailman wear a uniform, right? It's the uniform system. The uniform system is derivative of the uniform commercial code, right? In the uniform commercial code, it makes mention of the corporations employees being dressed in a uniform manner in order that they may be recognized, right? If they're not in uniforms, you don't recognize them as part of the corporation, therefore you don't honor their jurisdiction, right? If they told you that if you was coming from a different city, you had to check in with the chief of police in the city you go to, nobody wouldn't put up any resistance. But if they tell you to check in with the check-in chief, everybody think you up to some shenanigans. But the check-in chief was the legitimate person responsible for your welfare once you enter into the new city. But we don't remember the culture, so we look at that as being belligerent because it's not sanctioned by the uniform system.
hey, so with this Diddy thing, do you think they just trying to the Rico Diddy to rob him? Pretty. Do you think they're just trying to rob Diddy because it's a lot of stuff they saying like the baby oil and this and that. Like they don't even like some people say, oh, it wasn't baby oil, it was some kind of drug, but they promoting the baby oil thing, and they say, oh, he got guns with serial numbers fried off. I don't believe it because I mean, Diddy got too many people around him that's legit that he can pay to be armed. So like to have it's like a lot of stuff I think they just threw in there to promote in the media COINTELPRO tactics to say, oh yeah, he had guns and baby oil. You know what I'm saying? And then I think it's a black hand trying to rob this brother. I mean, even though we know Diddy might have been doing his freak offs and nasty parties, I'm talking about, I think this overall is the government, these black hand laws of London. he done pissed somebody off that's at their high table, or he, you know, and they trying to just rob this brother using the RICO, man. You know, what you think, Rod?
As long as it bring down Clive Davis, Jimmy Iovine, Larry Cohen, all the other them rotten ass executives,
Right.
his purpose is served no matter what they doing.
I feel you on it. I like
That's
that.
why he said, I run this city. Tell the cops, DA, the feds, come get me. And if you try to leave me for dead, you coming with me. Because that's their MO.
Right.
We forget about, it was a brother from Wisconsin back in the 80s who, this is the origin of Pizzagate, by the way. It was a brother who he was a speaker. I think it was the Democratic Convention, like 83, 84. And he was a child trafficker. And he was using political connections to funnel children, little boys specifically, into DC for those politicians to have those illicit parties with $5,000 hot dogs and $2,000 slices of pizza. Right? The code was revealed in the Barack Obama administration, and because they were still using the lingo that the FBI was following. This is why the Hillary Clinton emails, the Podesta files, and the Hunter Biden emails were so critical to the fall of the deep state in DC, because all of their codes is on there. And a lot of that stuff is on the dark web, and some of it is even on the regular web in the public domain. Some of her emails, like the Benghazi situation, where her and Barack Obama was deciding whether they was going to do something or not. He ended up going to a fundraiser and she ended up going to a book signing or some dumb shit like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something as simplistic as that, while you got a whole U.S. embassy under attack.
Hey, Rod, my next question I got for you is diplomatic immunity, because this ties into what Doc case and things and other. I'm just looking into that diplomatic immunity.
Right.
With diplomatic immunity, how does that work? Like with the RICO and in connection with the U.S. courts, like where people can't be tried for certain crimes over here. Like what immunity do you have as a diplomat over here under the in U.S. courts system? Go ahead.
A diplomat pretty much have a free pass in a foreign land to commit whatever crimes they want to. Right. But the problem is certain diplomats can be kidnapped by the host state, and the host state can put up a prolonged resistance to the international claim of diplomatic status and say that we don't know nothing about it, what they call plausible denial. So the host state would be like, I didn't know he was no diplomat. What he doing over here if he a diplomat without me knowing? They was like, well, you got all the paperwork. I don't got no paperwork. But all the time they got the paperwork. They know who he is. They know where he at. They know what he doing. They know what he ain't doing.
Damn.
Right? Now remember, as an organic to this land, even if you get diplomatic status somewhere else, you still classify under the United States corporate as the enemy of the state.
Right.
Because the state itself is the enemy because it's de facto. Anybody that's de jure, which is a lawful heir to the land walking around on the land, is an enemy to the de facto corporation because they have jurisdictional right at any given time to read Article 77 of the Iroquois Constitution, grandfathered in, and cancel the Constitution of the United States and close the corporation because we know how to run government now. Anybody that get close to that, like Malachi was so close to it, all he had to do was turn around and trip over a law book, and there it is in his face. right? And now, because of what he had built up, he had the capability of exercising the jurisdictional supremacy and putting in the public domain Article 77 of the Iroquois Confederacy and canceling out their rights to do business on the land for violating all of their treaties, violating the rights of the organic people of the land, violating the treaty agreement not to cross the Appalachians, and all of that.
That's right.
Everything they did was a fraud on us. Fraud vitiates or cancels or nullifies all contracts. And their whole contractual system was predicated upon the discovery doctrine. The imbecility was predicated upon Papa Bulls, right? The only way to prove otherwise is to assume your proper person or your proprietary persona and assert your jurisdictional claim in the public domain as the pretender to the throne. And as you go about informing the people of who you are and what you're doing, you garner support of the organic tribes who recognize the tribal tradition of the grid to tell the stories of what happened to the people of the land and why they ain't got their proper just on their own land. Because you have a foreign corporation masquerading as your government, a certain jurisdiction over you, because you don't know that the proper jurisdiction of authority lies with the tribes, and therefore you don't support the tribes because the government told you they was gangs. And they vilified the word gang and implied criminal activity when the word gang is another word for tribe, and they don't tell you that part in order to keep you deceived into thinking that the tribes is criminals for tribing on the land, right? Which goes back to the commission of the government of the corporation to put bounties for our scalps. They wasn't looking for straight hair. They was looking for wool.
Right, go ahead.
Originally, they was taking our heads, but it was taking up too much space in their trading stations when they was cashing in for the people of the land that they killed. Go back to the vile and bloody oath of the papacy, right? It say the agreement was to kill the kings, the princes, and the people of the land. Why would they do that? That's the only way you can claim the land is the rightful heirs to the land has to either acquiesce, surrender, give up, which we ain't gonna never do, or you have to win it by conquest and assert your proper claim at the close of the age. They fail to state a proper claim that's superior to the jurisdiction of the tribes. So now you go back to the FEMA continuity of government document. FEMA don't work for the U.S. no more. They work for the tribes. They can't be activated until the tribes activate them. But they keep putting all of this dirt on the name FEMA under the pretense of failure to perform so that they can say that the tribes is not ready to receive government back because they can't even run FEMA.
Damn. Hey, I got another question for you, Rob. We're gonna get ready to get off. We got about we'll just do it for about 2 hours. We got about less than 20 minutes. Like I'll ask you this question. Now, I did some research on sovereignty, and I hear people. I used to hear back in the day when I was in moral science class with under brother Joe Ells Bay. He used to tell me, man, don't call yourself sovereign. Don't call yourself sovereign. I used to hear him say that, but I never did really just look into it until just recently on really understanding what sovereignty was about. And because I hear people say, oh, we organic to the land, we sovereigns or this and that, right? So I looked at the word sovereign and come to find out it's a legal fiction. It only exists inside of U.S. courts. The sovereign, it only exists inside of the system. As you only can be a sovereign in the system. Like outside of the system, there's really no such thing. Besides, now, then the other thing too, and I'm gonna let you respond. the organic people thing. Cause I hear people say, "Oh, we organic people." When I went to go look up organic people on international files, there's no such thing as an organic people. It only say indigenous people rights, or indigenous this. It don't say nothing about organic. It never even mentions the word. Only time it mentions the word organic is talking about vegetables. Now it could be some higher axiological thing connected with people and vegetables. I can get into that, but I'm saying they only, when they in the court files, they only refer to, when you say, when I look up the word organic, it only comes up as plants and vegetables. As far as like stuff on agricultural violations, there's never a mention of organic as far as a people. The only word they mention of they mention the word natural in a certain way, but it was really indigenous is the word they use a lot. So what's your take on the sovereign being a legal entity? Because they said that sovereignty is a legal entity, a legal fiction, and a fiction is, you know, some made up shit, artificial. Go ahead.
If you go to Google and type in sovereign law, it's going to tell you that it's the law that's by royalty. The sovereign is the royalties of any land, and they identify under the Uniform Commercial Code as being outside of the jurisdiction of the codes. When you go to the laws that the American corporation follow, they follow the United States codes, right? You have to get out of the jurisdiction of the codes and the statutes. Statutes are underneath the codes. Statutes is the Chevron doctrine. It's the corporate's body able to issue statutes in order to govern its internal workings. We've been classified as the internal mechanisms under the statutes that they govern by being citizens. Citizen is, you have to be registered as a citizen in order for the corporation to have jurisdiction over you. You don't register to be a sovereign. You born sovereign, owing no debts, right? And having no debts owed to you, right? But when you in your sovereign capacity, you can operate from a position called universal law, which overrides contract law. You can't exercise universal law until you figured out how to become a sovereign or a royal persona in order to issue edicts. And you have to issue the edict from a superior legal jurisdiction, as in the case of natural